Joshua Bell is one of the biggest stars of classical music. This violinist has won Grammys, recorded over 40 albums. He tours the world as a soloist, chamber musician, and conductor. Today, he'll be all of those things and mentor as we welcome recent YoungArts Foundation alumni on the stage now. I'm Elliott Forrest from WQXR, New York's classical music station. Please join me in welcoming to the Jerome L. Green Space, Joshua Bell. If you're all set, we're all set. Joshua Bell and these 9 YoungArts alumni will start us off with music. Live from the Green Space on WQXR, here's the Violin Concerto in A minor by Johann Sebastian Bach. Joshua Bell and Young Arts alumni live in the green space at WQXR, the Violin Concerto in A minor by Johann Sebastian Bach. The violinists, Mariella Hobbs, Kevin Hugh, Serena Wang, and Kelly Talim. Violists, Leah Ferguson and Bradley Paramore, cellist Peter Aum and Anna Litvinenko, and bassist Zachary Ostroff, and of course our very special guest, violinist Joshua Bell. So let me ask you, they're going to set some chairs up here, but you have got to be the hardest working man in show business.
I work pretty hard, although I never think of it as work, but it's actually the last 10 days or so have been really totally crazy. I just flew in on a red-eye last night, and I think this is my 11th performance today in 13 days. So with 6 different programs, different concertos, and it's opening gala season. So
right.
I did New York Philharmonic and National Symphony and Toronto Symphony, all with, unfortunately, none of them wanted the same piece. So it's it's one of those months, but it's also fun. It's exhilarating.
Well, I saw you in the hallway because we broadcast the New York Philharmonic concert. I have to ask you, I haven't seen you since then. There were a lot of solos and trios. And then Josh Groban and Renee Fleming and you were all brought out at once, but somehow...
Oh, for the New York Phil.
For the New York Phil, yeah.
That's so long ago. That was 9 days ago.
I know. So when they called you out and everybody came out with you, what happened? What was that about?
Oh, when I didn't come out, that was just a nobody came and got me. I was waiting in my dressing room saying, "What's going on?" and why haven't they called me? And the next thing they're frantic saying, "You're supposed to be on stage." So that happens occasionally, but it wasn't my fault.
It was very funny, actually.
It gave Josh Groban a chance to schmooze with the audience, and he's really good at that too. And so they liked it, I think.
We just heard the music of Bach. Bach means a lot to you. What does this music, this composer mean to you?
Oh, well, I mean, ask any musician, classical musician, Bach will mean a great deal to them. But for me, I mean, Bach is just sort of the greatest of them all. If you listen to what we just did, this concerto sort of has everything. You know, many people think of Bach as being incredibly mathematical and brilliant in that way, which he is. I mean, the counterpoint is just mind-boggling. The things that he has going on at once, the way it works in a sort of beautiful mathematical way. But then when you listen to what the slow movements for me of the Bach are the most heavenly things you can think of, and the last movement is pure joy and fun and dance, and Bach is all about dance as well, and he's just so many things. I mean, but I think he's really the most profound of the composers.
Well, and we mentioned you've got this new recording coming out on Sony with your new band, the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields.
Mm-hmm. They call them bands over there.
Do
actually.
they?
In England, yeah, they call it bands. Yeah.
And you, in addition to these fancy big pieces, you do the chaconne too. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm really enjoying my work with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. I've been music director this is my 3rd year, and I finally felt ready to do. We've done several recordings before, 4 Seasons and other things, Beethoven symphonies recently, 4th and 7th. But I finally felt ready to do some sort of Bach record. I'm not ready for the solo partitas and sonatas yet. I don't know when I will ever be, but the concertos, I thought I really wanted to do those. But to fill out the record, I didn't want to do more standard things. I wanted to make this a little different. So I'd always imagined the Bach chaconne, which is the greatest piece written for solo violin. Imagined hearing it with orchestral accompaniment, and that being inspired by the accompaniments that have been done by Mendelssohn, Schumann, and others that were in the 19th century were so fascinated with the Bach chaconne. Mendelssohn wrote an improvisation on the piano that's really very interesting, and I thought, what if we orchestrated that? So we did that, and it really turned out really well. I think it gives you a little glimpse into the mind of Mendelssohn, another genius, and Bach, and perhaps the solo version is still the best. Of course it is. It's perfection, what Bach wrote, but it's another way to celebrate a wonderful piece.
We'll hear Mendelssohn in just a little bit, but let's talk about the Young Arts Foundation. I have to say organization was a bit new to me, but they were founded in 1981. Their mission is to identify and support the next generation of artists in literary, visual, and performing arts. Young Arts chooses about 700 talented young artists from over 10,000 applicants that range from 15 to 18 years of age. How did you get involved?
Well, I've known about them for a while. brought me down there to Miami to one of their events, and they gave me a little award. I don't say a little, I'm just trying to be self-deprecating, but it's actually, I don't want to say it was a little award, it was a great honor. But I got to know the organization a little bit, and then this HBO came up. HBO has been working with Young Arts, doing these masterclass series, which is really a fantastic thing, and it's great that HBO does, you know, these sort of things, not just Game of Thrones and things like that, which I love. So, and it's a wonderful series. They came to me and asked me to do a masterclass for on video, you know, for HBO. I was a little hesitant at first because I don't really love masterclasses in the sort of traditional sense. But I thought we came up another way. We got 9 members of the Young Arts organization, amazingly talented students from and young professionals from around the country, and they came and rehearsed and played with me in my home. We went to London and played a concert there together. They came to my recording sessions for the Bach, and then we just hung out for a week, and that I enjoyed that much more, I think, than I would have a master class. And the cameras followed us around, and it's going to be on HBO. It's on HBO, I think, just coming out right now.
It's really kind of an amazing idea, too, because a traditional master class might be that they just play, and you tell them when they're great and when they suck. And then, but for you to invite them to go to London with you and to play in all these different places, what is it that you think you got out of the experience? I'll talk to them in a minute, but what did you get out of it?
Well, first of all, when I think about the way I learned, the things I learned from playing, going to places like Marlborough, where I got to, as a young kid, I got to play with Rudolf Serkin. He was in his 80s, and the members of the Guarneri String Quartet. And when I was just a kid, I remember learning so much from actually working with people, and so I thought that's why this was fun. And for me, you know, working with young people like this with such enthusiasm, it inspires me and it invigorates me and reminds me, you know, that why I went into this business. I mean, not that I really need reminders, but it's always nice to see that youth and enthusiasm. And also just whenever you are mentoring, or it forces you to kind of evaluate your thoughts and think clearly and talk clearly about the subject matter. And then when you do that, you actually find you're following your own advice, you know. And so it's definitely the teacher. I don't want to even call myself a teacher because it's not that sort of thing. But inevitably, though, you learn as much from the people you're mentoring.
Well, I got to see a glimpse of it in rehearsal because you were with them 9 days, but you were here, you know, rehearsing for a little bit. And in that brief moment, I could tell that there were just words of wisdom about how to listen and how to play off of each other. You can't just play your part. You really have to get integrated. And it seemed like you were sort of instructing them on how to dance a little bit with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, those are a couple of key things we focused on. That we're always we musicians are always focusing on those things, figuring out where your place is. And very rarely do you play by yourself. Although Bach Chaconne you can do by yourself. But basically, you're working with people, and you have to figure out your role and what's important, where you come through, where you're supposed to be the center, where you're a supporting role, and those are things that I've learned. You know, you learn on the job, and also getting inside the character, really just trying to identify what is this music about, and so that's what we're always thinking about.
Let's take a little sneak preview of this documentary coming out on HBO, of the Young Arts Masterclass documentary. The clip features the performance in Joshua Bell. This is in your apartment.
I guess so.
That you brought them in. Let's take a look at this documentary, soon to be seen on HBO.
Backstage, we were all kind of like, oh, I wonder how this is gonna go. I'm really excited but nervous at the same time.
It was just pretty crazy to walk out on stage and see Josh Groban sitting in the front row, and the audience just went back so far all the way to the back of his apartment. It was just a ton of people.
Obviously, we had to hide our emotions, just go and sit and get ready. But inside, we were all just bubbling with excitement.
special Young Arts Masterclass with Joshua Bell airs Tuesday, October 14th. Let's just catch up on a couple of other things quickly. You played in the train station in Washington, D.C., famously, a couple of years ago. You, and what, no one noticed? What happened? Remind us what happened.
Well, that was already 7 years ago. Although I hear about it every single day. Somebody mentions it. It somehow went viral, the whole thing, in a way that I'd never imagined. So it was kind of something kind of fun. The idea was about context, and I was asked by the Washington Post to play in the metro station just after I'd played at Kennedy Center or something like that, and how he wanted to know when you throw classical music, I had a Stradivarius and playing music of Bach, etc., at people that are rushing to work, do they care, do they listen? And the answer was pretty much not, that they don't.
How much money did you make?
I did make some. Some people threw, without really looking at me, they threw $1 or $2 out of pity, I guess, because I was playing into the wind, or whatever you want to call it. It's not, so it kind of played out the way I expected, because music needs, like we have here today, audience that's really engaged, and to get anything out of music, you need to have your mind totally focused and taking in everything that's going on. It's complex, and so it's what I expected. And so you're probably about to ask me about tomorrow, which is
what's happening.
I'm going back underground for the second and last time, I think, to Washington again, but this time to Union Station, where Union Station, they invited me. They actually they've presented some wonderful pop artists and other people there. There's a beautiful space, and they asked me to come back, and this time tell people ahead of time, and sort of take the bad taste out of my mouth, I guess, from Washington, which I really did not have, but they seemed. And also just since I have these wonderful collaborators with the Young Arts, and we've been doing some really fun things. This HBO special, we got to play for President Obama and the UN General Council at a reception the other day, last week, on my day off, my one day off. And now, they've been so fun, so I thought I'd like to bring them there and have this experience together, and try to bring some awareness also to the importance of education and youth, and educating our young people. These people are such great examples of people that have had that great education. They're incredible people, and I wish everyone in the country had some background in music. So that's what it's all about, and to promote the Bach album, I guess.
Hold up,
we
CD.
won't talk about that. Oh yeah.
Just quickly, too, I caught the first episode. Believe it or not, Amazon.com is in the movie business, and like Netflix, they're doing original programming, and there's a new television show coming out called Mozart in the Jungle, based on this kind of scandalous kind of book that really sort of looked at the fun, sexual, crazy side of classical music, and they sort of taken it from there and made this television series, and you're in it.
Well, wait, don't get the wrong idea. I'm in it. I have a little scene.
You play who?
I play me,
all right.
which is not that difficult for me, I guess, to play. I played a concert, but the reason, the thing that really got me to do it was the fact that I got to shoot a scene with Malcolm McDowell, the wonderful actor from Clockwork Orange and some amazing stuff, and he was the conductor in the scene. So I said, I can't pass this up. So he's waving his arms and conducting the orchestra, and I'm playing a little bit of Tchaikovsky concerto, and it's a bit of fun, but it was just I don't see an acting career really.
Well, the red violin. You've done a couple of things, actually, as it turns out, over the years.
I do love movies.
And Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, but I was playing. I wasn't I wasn't dancing or involved in the scandals of that show. I haven't seen the Mozart and Jungle show yet, actually. But I do enjoy movies, and I enjoy the interaction of music and film. The Red Violin was an incredibly rich project that. With John Corigliano, the great composer, and I'm always looking for. I did one called Ladies in Lavender, which I played just last night as an encore. Beautiful soundtrack, Nigel Hess in England. So I look for those things. It's a lot of fun, yeah.
Let's talk about Mendelssohn. We're going to hear music of Mendelssohn in a moment. You and I had a long conversation once about the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, but that's just the surface of Mendelssohn. Why is this an important composer to you?
Well, I mean, the Mendelssohn Concerto is perhaps the greatest violin concerto, or one of the top few. Mendelssohn is a composer that I think was maybe one of the greatest geniuses, probably the greatest child genius of any composer that has ever lived, and I include Mozart in that. If you look at the output, if you look at the piece that we're about to play, the Mendelssohn Octet he wrote when he was 16 years old, as he did Midsummer Night's Dream and some stuff that's so incredible. This piece, the octet, is unique. It 8 parts that all different parts working together. That doesn't sound like a big mess. Which is very hard to write 8 parts the way he did, so cleverly, and such incredible music written by a 16-year-old. It's probably one of my desert island pieces. You know, if I had to choose, forget about the age he was when he wrote it. And so Mendelssohn is just, and Mendelssohn and Bach, of course, are strongly connected. Besides the arrangement that I did on my album of his accompaniment, I mean, Mendelssohn is really very much responsible for bringing Bach to a lot of the world. You know, when Mendelssohn was a young man, he went to Leipzig and discovered all these scores of Bach that Bach had sort of been somewhat forgotten by the general public. He was known by scholars, but he wasn't really known anymore. And Mendelssohn just brought all this great music out and had them performed and kind of lit the fire again about Bach, and so we owe him a great deal for that as well.
If you'll sit tight, I just want to chat just a little bit with some of these young musicians who are with us to find out a little bit more about this program. Joining us on stage is Mariella and Anna. Are you there? Will you join me here? Where did they go? There they are. Come on up. Let's hear it for these 2 young musicians again. Let's see, maybe over here. So, for attendees not there, what's it like working with Joshua Bell?
It's been a great experience. I mean, we learned a lot, and especially playing with him, you know, that's the best way to learn because you really learn by doing. So it's been a great experience.
And for you, Anna?
Oh, it was a great experience as well for me. It was very inspirational just to be able to see how he works and also how he thinks. And well, I can't see what he thinks, but you know, he obviously. But just that he communicates like when he's playing what he wants. So it's so easy to tap into what he wants to express, and then he guides us, like, you know, either like looking at us and trying to engage us when we're playing, and I think that's wonderful.
And the program in general, you obviously applied. It was very tough to get into. What did you get out of it the most?
The
Young Arts program.
The Young Arts program. I mean, I think the fact that we've been able to do so much collaborations, because since Young Arts, since the weekend that we had in Miami, I've done a lot of other things with chamber music and other collaborations with artists, not only musicians, but like tap dancers and other things, and that's been really great because it's you learn to like branch out, that it's not only classical music, or it's not only about yourself, it's about others and engaging with others, and which also helps, you know, engage audiences in a different way.
And working with Josh, going to London, the documentary, what do you take away from this whole experience?
I mean, I think I'll take away things for the rest of my life from it. I mean, the program that we played, all the pieces we played are very, very special pieces, and especially, you know, playing a piece like the Mendelssohn Octet, he composed it when he was 16, so it has a lot of, you know, youthful and, you know, very, you know, emotions that are close to us. So a lot of it's like very emotional, like we'll remember it, and also because we learned a lot as performers and as chamber musicians, and it was a very humbling experience, you know, getting to know, first of all, different cities and, you know, different people, and getting to know Josh. So yeah, I think it'll be something that will stay with me at least for a very long time.
And do I understand you recently became an American citizen?
I did 2 weeks ago. Yes, it's very exciting. Yes.
Congratulations. And was there somebody special there that made that all happen? I understand you met the president too, is that right?
Yeah, well, we played for the president and the first lady about a week ago, and which was obviously an amazing experience to get to meet him. We had a private meet and greet, so we talked to him, And for me, it was special because he congratulated me for my citizenship. It was just a very, touching experience.
You know, we are so concerned at WQXR about the future of classical music. That's why we did the fund drive. It's all very important to us. I hope you agree that an event like this today just points up the fact that I think classical music is in good hands, and I think that there is a very bright future with young people like this. I want to thank you so much for being here today. Let's bring out the rest of the alumni, and we'll move on to the Mendelssohn. I'll ask my producer. Can we play the whole thing? They can play the whole thing, right? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Just double check. So as Graham said earlier, tomorrow night in the Green Space, up close and personal with the Berlin Philharmonic, with a quartet of string players from the Berlin Philharmonic performing Haydn and Schubert. There are some tickets left, so make sure and come back tomorrow night if you can. Are you all set? Close enough? Now performing the Mendelssohn Octet live in the Green Space at WQXR, alumni from Young Arts and Joshua Bell. Joshua Bell and YoungArts alumni, the Mendelssohn Octet, live in the green space here at WQXR. Let's bring up all the performers that we have heard this evening. Can I give them all their due? Let's see if I can do this. Mariella Hobbs. Point it out, wave so everybody knows who you're wanting to do. Mariella Hobbs. Kevin Hu. Serena Wang. Kelly Talim. Leah Ferguson. Bradley Paramore. Peter Ahm. And Anna Litvinenko. Zachary Ostroff, bass. And our very special guest, Joshua Bell. Thanks so much to YoungArts. The HBO Masterclass documentary debuts October 14th. Joshua Bell's newest disc is all Bach with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. I want to thank our recording engineer, Chase Colpon, and the production teams of The Green Space and WQXR. I want to thank all of you for being here today and all of you for watching at home as well. I'm Elliott Forrest. This is a production of WQXR in New York. One more time for these YoungArts musicians and Joshua Bell. Thank you so much.